Hello and welcome back to World Talks on TVP World with me, Ashim Kumar. Now, Germany's border controls, are they simply a response to an internal political situation? Or do they have a point? Are they trying to protect their population from criminal elements amongst the illegal migrants that are entering the country? Well, to discuss this, I'm delighted to be joined by Mr. Petras Auštrevičius, Lithuanian member of the European Parliament. Welcome, sir, and thank you for taking the time to join us.
Very good morning. Thank you very much for the invitation.
Good morning. It's a pleasure as always. So, what do you think it is? What's the reasoning behind this tightening of border controls?
Well, I would probably describe the recent decision of federal government of Germany as simply reaction towards very unsuccessful for ruling coalition elections in Saxony and Thuringia, when on one side extreme right as well as extreme left parties have risen in figures, and it meant a great defeat, political defeat for ruling coalition parties. And one of the major issues dominated those elections were so-called illegal migration. Doesn't matter, is it based on figures or just kind of irrational fear, or spreading information among the population. So I see it as a chance or an attempt from the Chancellor Scholz to show his sensitivity to react to the raising concerns within the German society towards migration. But I have to admit that I don't see any objective figures which might prove that Germany needs something special, something extra, and in addition, in order to react to the situation, because nothing has happened. I didn't see any major flows of migrants like it was in 2015 or 16 at that time. So it is purely political. I would even call it absolutely political, which brings nothing back but tensions among the member states, and especially those who neighboring Germany.
Understood, but before we talk about the neighbouring states, clearly, whether there is a rationale or not, there is increasing support for anti-migration policies in Germany. Where do you think that support is coming from? Is it purely based on, hearsay, or do people have a reason for believing this?
Well, I mean, there is a certain element of support and probably solidarity based on some humanistic considerations. Germany, after all, needs a lot of additional labor force, as we know, every year. According to some economic forecasts, Germany might need around a million labor force because of the different considerations within the society. Local population is not willing to work in some positions, and they need to bring those people from outside. And probably there are some political parties which built their considerations on those pro-migration sentiments, which I would partly support, because really migration based on as assistance to help people to escape from indeed very dangerous situations. We have to be in solidarity with those people. But, I think now situation is different, generally speaking, and I see more probably inclination to support more coordinated, more probably restricted migration policies in Germany.
Understood. Now, Prime Minister Tusk of Poland has said, well, this is basically undermining the Schengen policy, freedom of movement. But is it, or is it simply controlling it better? What's the distinction?
I think we have to be rationally minded. If there is a need, for temporarily reinstalled border controls, and if we have indeed arguments based on figures, security considerations, probably we have to do it, but it must be really a policy line which was consulted before with neighbors. They are explained and showed figures and so on and so forth. It can't be like, the centrally placed country like Germany, and Germany is geographically a Central European country. So there are so many logistics depending on German infrastructure, so much of businesses interlinked. So that's why those unilateral decisions, they seen by neighbors, and for good reason so, as a political decision, which really raises a lot of concern and probably even domestic discussions within those countries' societies.
Understood. Now, the other point, of course, is that, as Mr. Sienkiewicz says, you cannot treat Germany differently to the way that the EU is treating Hungary, and he's referring to Orban's threat of bringing illegal migrants into Brussels, bussing them in. What's the EU response going to be to that? Because it's a fair point.
I think each and every case must be, decided individually. I think Hungary is more exposed to some migration risks, which come through maybe Western Balkans and this route through Turkey to upwards north through neighboring countries and entering Hungary. If those people reach Hungary, of course, they are on the way further up via Austria to Germany. But nevertheless, indeed, each and every case is individual. I wouldn't compare those cases, and I wouldn't equalize them, telling that, look, if somebody did, so I have the right to do the same. No, we are speaking about very sensitive issue. Schengen is really a value what Europeans see as a great achievement already for 30 years, from 95. Imagine, next year we are to celebrate 30 years anniversary in this regard. So that's why let's value those things we have made together and abstain from, salami slicing Schengen.
Understood.
Into small pieces.
Understood. Well, thank you very much for laying that analysis out for our audience, and we'll look forward to seeing you again soon. Have a good day. And that's all from us in this episode of World Talks. But stay tuned, as always. Lots more coming up. Goodbye from me.